So we're carrying on with our percentage of amounts learning. Today we're going to look at 20%. So as I said previously, we learned all of the percentage decimals and fraction equivalents. So 20% is the same as 20 over 100, which is the same as 2/10, which is the same as 0.2. So we know that 20% is the same as 2/10, and this is going to come in really handy later. So I just wanted to bring your attention to this part. So the children all found fractions of an amount fairly easy when we did this a couple of weeks ago in lessons. And I just wanted to show how percentage of amounts is very similar to fractions of an amount. So when you're finding a fraction of an amount, you divide by the bottom, so the bottom digit, so that would be divided by 10, and then you times by the top, which would be 2. Now, finding of a percentage of a tens amount is exactly the same. So if you're finding 10% of something, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, it's all the same. So you divide by 10 and then you multiply by the tens digit. So if it was 10%, you'd multiply by 1. If it's 20, you multiply by 2. 30, you multiply by 3, because that's the digit in the tens column. So I've written some questions for examples over here. So if I wanted to find out what 20% of 50 was, the first part I would do is divide by 10. So 50 divided by 10, which is 5. And then I'm going to put the 5 in here. So 5 times by 2. Now you times it by 2 because that is the number in your tens column here. Okay, so 5 times by 2 is 10. Therefore, 20% of 50 is 10. Next question, 30% of 70. So 70 divided by 10 equals 7, as we learnt how to do yesterday. Remember, they can use place value charts if they need to. Then 7 times by 3, because that is the digit in my tens column here. 7 times by 3 is 21. Therefore, 30% of 70 is 21. Children can use times table squares to help them too. So here's a slightly larger number, just so you see it still works. So 80% of 120, do 120 divided by 10, which equals 12. And then you need to do 12, so the answer times by 8, because that is the digit in the tens column, which equals 96. Now, for some of these questions, they might be able to do them in their head. You might be able to use a times table square. But for some of them, you might have to go into your column multiplication, where you'll find at the top of the page or in my other YouTube links to show them how to use column multiplication.